Go ahead and sit up nice and tall, everybody. Adjust your buttocks flesh. And remember, we don't just adjust the buttocks flesh to, adjust the buttocks flesh. We're doing that to level the sit bones, feel even pressure on each sit bone so that the spine is symmetrical from side to side. So you don't feel like you're sitting on a wallet and lopsided. So do your best there. I'm kind of calling this an active restorative class. I'm going to share a lot of instructions with you, but I want you to go at your own pace today. All right, it was a rough week last week. So this week we're just working some inversions, some forward bends, a little bit of abdominal work, and just go to your capacity and go to what feels good for you. Close your eyes. Bring your tailbone slightly forward and let your abdomen move back. It's not a huge movement, but just enough that you feel the weight shift back into the sit bones and you feel a spaciousness come to the lower back. Lift up through the sides of your torso. Not just the front of the torso. Don't push the floating ribs forward, but as if I was there and had my arms under your armpits and was just pulling you straight up towards the ceiling. Let your hands rest onto your thighs, more towards the hip side where you can squeeze your elbows in towards each other and let the upper arm bones roll out and the chest open. Level your head, chin parallel to the floor, and balance your head so it's right on top of your neck, right on top of your shoulders, so that you don't feel any neck strain from the weight of your head. Soften your throat, release your jaw. Soften your eyes. And maintain this lift of your torso. Maintain the softness in your throat and face. Bring your hands up at chest level. And since we have a couple of people from the Dyer Street studio, I chant Sutra 1.33 as opposed to the invocation. So if you know 133, you can join me or you can just listen along. Take a nice deep inhalation. Maitri Karuna Mudito Pakshanam Sukha Dukkha Punya Punya Vishayanam Bhavanatas Chitta Prasadanam Alayom. With an inhalation, adjust your posture and lift up through the crown of your head. And then on an exhalation, bow your head. Surrender the intellect of your mind to the intelligence of your heart. Release your hands to your thighs, palms up. And slowly raise your head. Slowly open your eyes. Do that opposite cross of your legs. And just take an easy twist to the right. And an easy twist to the left. And we're going to take Adho Mukha Virasana. I'm going to stay facing towards you rather than sideways because we're going to do something different. Start just with Adho Mukha Virasana. So bring your big toes to touch. Separate your knees. When you sit, make sure that the knees are the same forward and backward, side to side. They're symmetrical. If you need padding under the shins, take it. If you need height between the sit bones and the heels, take it. And then keep the sit bones down onto the heels as you crawl your hands forward and bring your forehead down. Look forward though, bring your chin forward first. So you're bringing that upper back in and you're lengthening the sides of the torso. And then bring your forehead down to rest. If the forehead doesn't make it, you can grab a corner of a blanket or a block. But let your forehead touch the floor. You can adjust your head so that that space between the eyebrows touches the floor. That's an acupressure point that helps to release stress. Press with your hands and move those hip creases back so the sit bones come down. And then you can inch your hands forward a little bit more for more length through the sides of the torso. Turn your inner arms up towards the ceiling. So that inner elbow tries to reach up towards the ceiling, but you'll feel that that makes the index knuckle light. Keep that index knuckle down as you turn the biceps up, triceps down. And then bring your hands back just in front of your knees and press with your arms to come up. And we're going to take Parsva Adho Mukha Virasana. So you're going to turn towards your right leg and come forward. The left arm will reach forward so you're lengthening the left side. This right hand can stay so it props you up, or you can bend it. If you find that it's a little low to take your forehead to the floor, you can bend it and make a fist and let your forehead rest down onto that fist. Okay, so turn the belly toward the right leg. Still use some pressure from that right hand to take the left sit bone down. It may be light on the heel, but keep it headed down. And inch that left arm farther and farther away from you. So you're really getting a stretch through the left side of your torso. Turn the belly more and more to the right. Let the left side of your torso drop down towards the floor a bit. Not try to put it on the floor, but don't untwist. Try to keep twisting to the right. Take a few deep breaths and really breathe into the openness of that left side. And then bring your hands back, press into your hands to come up, and we'll go over to the left, right? So turn toward that left thigh, crawl that right arm out, but twist the belly as you go down. So you were a little more, it's not a huge twist, but I don't want you to be like this, all right? I don't want you to be looking back towards the right, be looking back towards the left. Use that left arm for support. And inch that right hand farther and farther away from the hip. Open all of those intercostal muscles. Open the space between the ribs. breathe into that right side of the torso. And then bring both hands back by the knees, press to sit up. Come back to the center and lift up into Adho Svanasana. Crawl your hands forward, curl your toes under, lift up, Adho Svanasana. See if you can get that same amount of length on each side here, but now it's symmetrical. It's both sides at the same time. Thighs back, hands forward. Turn those inner arms up towards the ceiling, then maintain that pressure on the index, knuckle, and thumb. And then step your right foot forward, left foot forward. Come to Uttanasana. Bring your hands onto your hips and inhale and come up. All right, Sirsasana, headstand. If you're not headstanding today, then you'll take seated Upavista Konasana. You can work the forward bend a little bit if you would like, but that is where we're headed today. So if you want to just do seated, you can just do seated. And you'll go between Upavista Konasana and Baddha Konasana. Those of you that would like to do Sirsasana, we're just going to do a straight Sirsasana, not setting a timer or anything. So it'll be between 3 and 5 minutes. So go ahead and choose. You can be at the wall if you'd like to be at the wall. Place your elbows shoulder width apart. Interlace your fingers. Get your wrists to touch the floor. And take the crown of your head down, the back of your head into the cup of your hands. And then however you like to come up. All right, if you like to kick up, if you prefer stepping up. Now press your wrist and your forearms down and lift your shoulder blades. So you're creating space for the neck. Right? There's weight in the forearms and there's weight in the head, but there's not weight in the neck. With your eyes, gaze across the room. Don't look down towards the floor, because that will sometimes pull you toward your forehead. And then just as we did seated, slightly bring the tailbone forward and the abdomen back. So you're creating space in the lower back. Buttocks up towards the ceiling, abdomen back. And from the outside of your legs, squeeze in. Don't just push the inner thighs together, but compact. From the outer hips, move in. From the outer thighs, move in. From the outer knees, the outer calves and shins, move in. Soften your abdomen. Soften your throat. Don't clench your jaw. Erica, if you're happy there, stay there. If you want to switch to Baddha Konasana, you can switch to Baddha Konasana. It's up to you. You can also lean forward in that Baddha Konasana if you want that support for your head. see if you can find in this headstand, you know, there's a constant adjustment going on in headstand to maintain our balance. But see if by pressurizing the wrists and the forearms, by bringing the abdomen back and the buttocks up and compacting the legs, can you find a quietness here? Breathe normally. Suzanne, see if you can bring your legs back, your feet back just a little bit. They're way in front of your head. Tailbone in. There you go. That's better. Press the wrists, lift the shoulder blades. Even squeeze in a little bit from the outer elbows, move in. Like you've got a beach ball between your elbows. You're squeezing that beach ball. Now, headstand isn't done until you're completely out. So whatever your choice for coming out is, maintain, right? Press the wrist and lift the shoulder blades. Slowly bring the legs down. And once you're down, rest back into Adho Virasana. Erica, come to Dandasana, straighten your legs, sit up nice and tall. And when you feel like the upside downness has subsided a bit, then press with your hands to come up. If you're in a place where you can take your foot to a wall or a heavy piece of furniture, you know, the short edge of the mat, then do that. If you need to stay in the middle of the room, that's fine too. We're going to take the Supta Padangusthasana cycle. So you can have a strap. You'll need some space side to side so that you can take the legs out to the side. Although you only need space on one side. So if you're kind of cramped, then make it so the space is on the right side of you. We're going to do the Supta Padangusthasana 1 with the legs straight up in the air. Then we're going to take the bent knee version of Supta Padangusthasana, and then we'll take the lateral version out to the side. So all three of those on one side, and then all three of those on the other side. So if you're using the wall, make sure that space between your feet is right in line with your torso. Bend your knees a little bit, scoot towards the wall so that you can use the mat to help pull that back of the body towards the heels. So press your heels into the wall and feel how it moves the shoulder blades towards the waist, the buttocks away from the waist. And then with your strap, whatever size loop you want to have in your strap based on your hamstrings, make that loop, and then briefly bend your right knee in towards your chest and give it a nice tight hug. Let that hip get used to that bend. And then you can take the strap around. I like to go around the front edge of the heel when I'm doing this for a more kind of restorative action. When it's around the front edge of the heel and you pull down onto it, it really brings the femur into the hip socket. It feels nice. Straighten the right leg completely, straighten the left leg completely. From the inner edges of your legs, reach up towards the inner edges of your feet. And take the fronts of your thighs to the backs of your thighs. So the right thigh is moving towards the left foot. The left thigh is moving down towards the floor. And then from the outer edge of both feet, pull down towards the hip or up towards the hip, whatever the orientation makes sense to you. So you feel that outer side of the right hip come in. Spread the feet from the big toe to the little toe. So you are keeping that big toe knuckle as high as the little toe knuckle. And with that right arm that's holding the strap, turn that inner part of your elbow so it faces your head, and you'll feel the shoulder blade move towards the waist. And then if your hamstring is ready for it, pull that right shoulder down towards the floor. Okay, as you pull that right shoulder down, the foot has to move more towards the head. So if the hamstring isn't quite ready for that, then keep that shoulder up, that's fine. Now, you can keep your left leg straight as we move into the bent knee version, or you can bend it and put the foot on the floor. That's whichever version you like to do. It's a little easier to get in with the left knee bent, but then you have to straighten it. All right, bend the right knee. Let the right foot come across the body. All right, so the right foot is trying to come towards your head. The right knee is moving away. Contract your abdominal muscles. The pubis moves towards the navel, the sternum bone moves towards the navel, and the navel moves down as you lift up. Hook that left elbow over the right ankle. Okay, and then pull that right ankle towards you as you move the right knee away from you. And then take the right arm behind your head and straighten the left leg and lift up. Look up over that shin bone. Contract those abdominal muscles. Let your eyes wander down towards your chest, and you may see that the right side of your chest is dropping towards the floor. So you have to lift that outer right arm up so that it lifts that right side of the chest. And then roll that thigh out so the right knee moves away from you. You feel something in the back of that right hip. And breathe. Don't forget that part. Right, and then release, come back down, go back up to Supta Padangusthasana 1, which feels remarkably easy now. Take the left arm out to the side, shoulder height. Left thigh down, turn the belly to the left, and slowly let that right foot come out to the right. But keep the left side of the torso down. Keep that left thigh and left hip down. Turn your belly. Still extend through the inner edges of the feet, but pull back from the outer edges. You'll feel the right buttock kind of engage and get a little bit bigger, which helps to take the left side down. Soften your throat, soften your face. And then with an inhalation, bring that right leg back up. And bend the knee, give it a little bit of a hug again. And then exhale, And straighten the right leg. Now reset up here, all right? Because if you look, things have shifted. So move back towards the wall a little bit. Get that midline between the feet in line with the midline of the torso. And push so that the mat grips the shoulder blades and the buttocks. If you need to adjust your strap because the left side is dramatically different than the right, then make those adjustments. Bend the left knee in and give it a bit of a hug. And then while you're there, take that strap around the front edge of the heel. Hold the strap in your left hand. And extend through the inner edges of both legs, both feet. Straighten both legs completely. Move the fronts of the thighs to the backs of the thighs. From the outer feet, pull back towards the hip. Turn that inner left arm towards your head. And if you're ready for it, start to pull that left arm bone down towards the floor, which intensifies the stretch a bit on the back of the left leg. If you're not ready, then stay up. It's fine. Now bend that left leg. The foot comes across the body. Contract the abdomen, pubis to navel, sternum bone to navel, navel in, lift up. Get the backs of the shoulder blades off the floor and hook the right elbow over the left ankle. Take the left arm behind your head. Okay, now the left foot moves towards your head. The left knee moves away. So there's a lot of external rotation in that left hip. Extend through the right leg. Okay, and then remember we want to even up the chest, so lift that outer left arm up towards the ceiling, like you're trying to turn the bicep down towards the floor and the tricep up towards the ceiling. Lift that left side of the torso. Look up over your shin bone and breathe. And then release. Take your left leg up straight. Extend the right arm out to the side. Press that right thigh down. Turn the belly to the right. And with an exhalation, let that left leg come out to the side. Only as low as you can maintain the right side down. Turn the belly to the right. Pull the outer left foot towards the hip. And you can gradually let that left leg come down, but you have to maintain those actions. So sometimes it may come down, sometimes maybe not. And then with an inhalation, bring that left leg back up. Bend the knee. Give it another little hug. And then straighten the leg. Join your feet and be for just a moment in Supta Tadasana. Press the feet into the wall I like to grab the sides of the sticky mat and push the sticky mat towards my feet. Helps to traction the lower back a bit. And then release, bend your knees, roll to your side. We're done with the wall, so if you had to go into another place to be by the wall, you can come back and just scoot your mat a little ways away from the wall. We're going to take Ardha Padangusthasana, not the final version, just kind of an interim version. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay down and hold the sticky mat with my hands. So normally we would take the arms over the head. We're not going to do that today. We're going to do kind of a beginner version here. So I'm going to hold the sides of the sticky mat and push them towards my feet. So you see how that drags my buttocks towards my heels. It really helps to lengthen the lower back, right? And I can bring my legs up, keep that abdomen in, and keep that pressure of the hands on the mat, and that will help me to bring the legs down, but keep that abdomen in. And we're just going to go through the full range of motion a few times, up and down. Ardha Padangusthasana. I promise there's more abdominal work to come, so don't feel cheated that we're not doing the full pose here. All right, so lay down, grab the sides of the mat. All right, and then this is so lovely in the back. If you just push that mat towards your feet, you kind of get that same sensation that we had at the wall in the Supta Padangusthasana. The shoulder blades move away from the neck, the buttocks move away from the waist, and then lift your feet so that your knees come over your hips, and then straighten the legs. If you have to bend the knees, that's fine. You've got really tight hamstrings and you need to bend the knees, bend the knees. Now the navel stays in. You may have, your back may go to its normal curve, but don't let the navel lift up. I recommend putting a small dog on your navel, but I know you don't all have one. All right, so with an exhalation, keep the navel in and slowly let the legs come down towards the floor. Let the heels touch the floor, and then with an inhalation, bring the legs back up. What you're aiming to feel here is that the action is all in the hip, all right? That it's not in the lower back, it's all in the hip. Push the mat toward where your feet would be. Draw your navel in, contract those abdominal muscles, and slowly, both legs come down, touch the mat, and then with an inhalation, come back up. Bend your knees and set your knees down. Lay your feet down. Give yourself a little rest there. Okay, now the other action that helps this is to go back to the Sirsasana that we did, where I said from the outside, squeeze in. So not just a pressure of the inner legs towards each other, but actually trying to compact those legs and fit them in a smaller container. All right, so you're a mermaid with a tail as opposed to a person with two legs. Push the sticky mat towards your feet, lift your feet, straighten your knees. Now really feel here at the outer buttocks, squeeze in, outer thighs, outer knees, outer calves, even the outer ankles. So there's almost an upward motion through your legs. Keep the navel in, and with an exhalation, bring your feet down. Use the pressure of the sticky mat to kind of help you keep that length in the lower back, and with an inhalation, come up. Once more, navel in, compact the legs, bring the heels down, and then with an inhalation, bring the legs back up. Bend your knees, set your feet onto the floor, and relax. Take a couple of deep breaths, and then slowly roll to either side and sit up. And we'll take Paripurna Navasana. Let's go through the stages of Paripurna Navasana, and then you can choose to stay at one of those stages or go to the final pose. So with your feet bent and the legs together, catch behind the thighs. All right, now this distance is never going to be wide enough for your arms to be straight. All right, so the elbows are going to be a little bent. It's got a little bit of a bicep work here. But as I pull on the backs of the thighs, I can really lift that sacrum up and bring that upper back in. And then tip back and balance. Shins parallel. And this is one place where you can extend the arms or straighten the legs and extend the arms. Okay? And come down. All right, so we'll hold that a little bit longer this time. There's still that contraction in the abdomen. All right, grab behind the thighs, pull and lift up. This upper back has to stay in or you're gonna sink your boat. Tip back and balance on the sit bones. Okay, shins can come parallel to the floor, and if you want to stay here, you can stay here. If you can straighten the legs, make that mermaid tail with your legs. Keep that upper back in and extend the arms. You're not reaching the arms away from you. The arms are protracted back into the socket. Yes. And then you can bend the knees and set the feet down, straighten out your legs. All right, so that's kind of a stage one of full boat pose. If you want to stay with that, stay with that. All right, if you want to take the full boat pose, you can have the fingertips back behind you so you can get the lift of the chest. Tip back with the legs straight and then extend the arms. Compact the legs, any version that you'd like to do. Compact the legs, extend through the inner legs, but pull those outer legs in. Protract the arms. So when the arm bones are in the socket, the upper back will lift. Yes. And then legs come down, come back up to Dandasana. Right? Lean back onto your elbows. Okay, this is the height of the chest in Ardha Navasana. Maybe a little bit higher, but definitely not lower, right? And you'll feel here, you can kind of really easily pinch that top of the buttock. So just like we've done a couple of times now, you're gonna push with your hands and drag yourself towards your head a little bit so you feel the buttock move towards your heels. Okay, now navel in, contract the abdominal muscles, and lift your feet just to the height of the eyes. So you're on that lowest sacrum. And then extend your arms straight, just like regular full boat. That's one version. Okay, and then lower your legs and sit up. Okay, and then for the arms, if you want to take the full half boat, too many adjectives. The arms are behind the head. Okay, now you're not pushing the hands into the head. All right, the head is just resting in the arms. And the elbows aren't way forward. It's not Sirsasana. They're not way back either. Okay, they're kind of at a comfortable 45-ish degree angle. And then the action of the arms is a lift from the armpit to the elbow. All right, now the upper back won't come in because you'll be on your back, but you see how much I lifted up when I did that. All right, so you're trying to push, just like in Sirsasana, you're trying to push that forearm up towards the ceiling. I don't know the easiest way to do it. All right, so you could try being here. What I like about this is it puts you in the right position for your torso. but it's really hard to let go. But try it and see what happens. You can let go with your arms, and then you lift up through the tricep to the elbow and lift your feet to the height of your eyes. It is the hardest one. And then release. And of course, the other way to come into this is to start here in Dandasana and then just open it up into a canoe. All right? So you can start with your hands behind your head. Lift up through your arms. Keep reaching those arms up. And then you do slump. You do round a little bit to get the feet to come up. Lifting up through the triceps, contracting the abdominal muscles, squeezing the legs together like a mermaid. And then come back up. Woo! Good stuff, right? Let's lay back onto your back. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Pull the shin bones towards your head. Padangusthasana. If that feels exceptionally delightful, then stay there. If you'd like, just straighten your legs along the floor. Not so much Shavasana, but more relaxed than Supta Tadasana. Just take a couple of breaths. And then bend your knees and roll to your side to sit up. Okay, we're going to switch to some forward bends. So if you like to have height under your buttocks, have height under your buttocks. If you need a strap, get a strap. And then have some extra blankets if you know that you occasionally need support for your knee in things like Janu Sirsasana. Let's see, just so I'm not having you get up and down fetching props, go ahead and have a couple of blocks. We'll take a Marichyasana 1 twist in here. So you might want a block under your hand. All right, so just have that block back behind you. Hold a blanket if you're using blankets. Have the strap nearby if you're using the strap. And sit in Dandasana. Just the sit bones on the edge of the blanket. Adjust that buttocks flush. Here it's a little easier to find that symmetry because the legs aren't crossed. Sit up nice and tall in Dandasana. Repeat those actions from Sirsasana and from the boat poses. All right? Fronts of the thighs to the backs of the thighs. Extend, compact and extend. Lift that lower sacrum, lift the sternum bone, roll the arm bones back and open the chest. And then let's do the right leg straight first today. Let's bend the left leg. Now we're taking this kind of what is considered the first stage of Janu Sirsasana, maybe more Maha Mudra. Let the inner edge of your foot touch your inner thigh. Right, and then if this knee stays up or if that knee has a little bit of pain, if you push it down, put a blanket under it. Don't suffer. With your hands pressed down, sit up nice and tall. Now, front of the right thigh to the back of the right thigh. Press that thigh down. And on this left leg, you want to feel that that thigh is rolling out. So the sit bone has to stay down. And it's more this outer side here, this outer side of the thigh that you're taking down. Inhale, Ardha Hasta. Exhale, come forward and catch your right foot or use your strap. And you're starting from that concave back, right? So the right thigh is pressed down. The left sit bone is down. And then as you pull on that foot, try to sit back up tall. Lift that navel up away from the thigh. Let your chin be connected to your sternum bone. So as you look up, you lift the sternum bone and that upper back moves in. Turn the inner arm bones up towards the ceiling. So the shoulder blades can descend. Now, to your capacity, all right? You're doing your own pose, not anybody else's pose. Look at your foot and take your nose towards your toes. Move the sides of the navel forward, the sides of the rib cage forward. Look at your foot and pull your sternum bone forward. If you're low enough that it's more comfortable to go to the clasp, take the back of the left hand to the sole of the foot, and then take the back of the right hand and catch it with the left hand. And pull yourself forward. Eventually take your head down to a height that is comfortable for you. Now observe your pose. Press the front of the right thigh to the back of the right thigh. Right thigh down. Take that left sit bone. Make sure that left sit bone hasn't lifted up. If the left sit bone is lifting, the left thigh is turning in. You want that left thigh to turn out. Now look towards your foot once again and reach your chin down to your shin. So you're pulling the upper back in. And then come back to the first clasp of the hands. Just hold the bottom of the foot, look up, concave back. Inhale, Ardha Hasta. Exhale, hands down. Bring that knee up and straighten that knee. Right leg bends. Sole of the foot right against the thigh. Kind of a first stage Janu Sirsasana. I suppose we could call it Maha Mudra, but we're not staying in that Maha Mudra position. Press your hands down and lift up. Left thigh down. Outer right thigh down, sit bone down. But lift up your abdomen here. Inhale, Ardha Hasta. Lengthen your sides. Look up and bring your upper back in. And then from that upper back, come forward. Catch the foot. Concave back. Press the thigh down, sit bone down. Pull with your hands and bring the upper back in. Lift the sternum bone up towards the ceiling. And then elbows bend up and out, and you're going to look at your foot and you're going to move towards the foot. Not down. Don't think down. Think go forward. You can do that additional clasp. Turn the belly a bit towards that straight leg and go forward. You can take the head down. Now what happened to your left thigh? Press it down. Where is your right sit bone? Take it down. Keep your elbows up so your upper back has a chance to move in. And then lift your head, take your chin down. You lengthen that front of the torso a bit more. And then first clasp of the hands, look up. Inhale, Ardha Hasta. Exhale, straighten the leg. Dandasana. Right, the full Janu Sirsasana. I have gotten to where I like this corner of the blanket. If you have a different preferred version of the blanket, you can take it. But I find, even though it's a rectangle, if you can make this be an equilateral triangle here, then when you sit down, you've got your sit bones on the blanket, but you have space for your thighs. Okay, now you still might need a blanket to support your knee if you need to. Sit up nice and tall. And we're going to start by bringing the left leg into that same, more like Padangusthasana. All right, so you're tightening up the knee. This particular shape doesn't require a whole lot of external rotation, but it gets you started there. Separate this right leg out to the side a bit. And now roll your shin bone. Come from behind your shin bone. Roll your shin bone at the top of your foot down towards the floor for Sirsasana. So heel is still in line with the pubis. Sit up nice and tall. Now the hips are going to get cattywampus a little bit, but we're going to focus on moving the heel and the knee as opposed to the hips so we don't get too crooked. So pick this foot up and move the heel to the left. And that takes the knee back without moving the hip back a whole lot. Okay, and then do it again. All right, so you're trying not to move that left hip too much, but you're still finding that Janu shape of the leg. And then you can bring the right leg, you want that outer leg to run parallel to the side of the mat. And now that that leg is back into place, you might be able to move that foot over just a little bit more. But now you see it doesn't feel like a huge twist to turn towards the straight leg. Left hand on your knee, right hand on the floor, press down to lift up and turn that belly toward the right leg, front of the thigh to the back of the thigh. And this left sit bone stays down. So this left thigh turns out. Reach up through your left arm and come forward and catch the inner foot. Let the right hand come forward for support. I have mine just outside my knee. You'll find the right spot. Now press your thighs down, press that left sit bone down and sit up tall. Turn the belly to the right. And then bring both hands forward to the foot, concave back. You're trying to sit up straight and pull that upper back in. This is a lot of work right here. It's frustrating to be told, no, don't go down yet. But this is a lot of work. All right, now press the thighs down, keep that left sit bone down. Belly has to turn to the right, come forward, elbows up. From your elbow, move forward to your wrist, so you come forward. And then once you're down, you can think elbow to shoulder, and that'll take the shoulder blades back towards the waist. You can do your clasp, and you can take your forehead down. And at some point here now, lift your head and take your chin forward. Lengthen that front of the torso. Turn the belly to the right and move forward. Elbows up and out. Yes. And then release the hands, come back to that concave back. Inhale, Ardha. It's easier to take both arms up after you've been down. And then come down. Switch sides. Straighten that left leg. Bend the right leg just to the Padangusthasana shape first. And then you can take the left leg out of the way as you roll the shin bone down towards the floor, top of the foot down towards the floor. And then you're working to take that heel over, right? Because in Janu Sirsasana, the heel touches its own thigh. The toes touch the opposite thigh, but the heel is at its own thigh. So you take the heel over and you feel that there's more rotation and more length in that inner groin. Straighten up the left leg, and then you might be able to get a little more. Okay, but we have it, it's opposed to just, when we just pull the knee back, sometimes we pick the hip up, and then we end up really twisted, the wrong way. Sit up nice and tall. Make sure you're keeping that right sit bone down. Front of the left thigh to the back of the left thigh. Reach up through the right arm. Turn to the left. And kind of cut that right side down a little faster than the left side. Use your left hand for support. Press down and turn. And then both hands can come to the foot. Keep that right sit bone down. Left thigh down. Sit up tall. Look up. Let that chin be connected to the sternum bone and lift it up. Upper back in. And then as the elbows bend, if they bend down, you round your back. Lift them up and come forward. When you lift them up, that upper back moves in. It feels weird, but it moves the upper back in. You can do your clasp if you're doing the clasp. Turn the belly to the left. Look forward and take your chin towards your foot. Go to your capacity. What's going on in that right sit bone? You know how I know it's up? Because mine's up. Right sit bone down. It's so tempting, right? You're like, but I'm going deeper forward. All right, straighten your hands back up. Inhale, Ardha Hasta. Exhale, come down. Bring that right leg up. Straighten it out. Now let's take a quick Virasana. I'm just going to use a block. We're not doing, I'm not saying go all the way to the floor in your Virasana, but let's take a quick Virasana with a little bit of support. Knees together, feet wide. Roll the calf out. And it's not that you're rolling the calf out, you're trying to roll the shin bone in. Right, and then sit down. Rolling the calves out is a beneficial, it gets the flesh out of the way, but we're really trying to turn the shin bones in. Let's interlace the fingers. If this is tough on your shoulders, then come from here, either or. Press the arms up, Parvatasana. Tailbone slightly forward, abdomen back so the lower back has space. Turn these inner arms back and press up through the heels of your hands. It helps if you take the thumb tips and push the thumb tips together. It gives you a little more leverage to really straighten the elbows. And then bring your arms down. Do the opposite cross of the fingers. And then either or. Come forward and go up. Come to the crown of the head and go up. Either or. Press the thumb tips together, really straighten the elbows. Observe what's happening in your lower back. All right, don't push the lower back forward. Tailbone slightly forward, navel back. Reach up, lift your chin so the upper back moves in and go up to the ceiling. Arms down. All right, and then remove your height. Cross your ankles and roll back. Okay, so if that was a pretty comfortable Virasana for you, then you're going to use that same amount of height for Trianga, Mukhakaipada, Paschimottanasana. All right, so I'm going to sit up on one block here, and I'm going to bend. For you, it'll be your left leg. You're going to bend your left leg into Virasana. Sitting up on a little bit of height. Lean over to the right and take that left calf out. Turn the left shin bone in a bit. Make sure there's a space between the inner heel and your thigh. Not a huge space, but don't have the heel up underneath you. You want that sit bone to someday come down onto the floor. Press that left sit bone down, right thigh down, lift up, exhale and come forward. Catch and come back to concave back. Now here in this pose is where I can really feel this need to pull from this outer foot to this outer hip, right? Because I fall over. Right? This hip has to stay back in, this hip down, so you come forward. Okay, so don't let that right leg be reaching out so much. From the inner edge, reach out, but from the outer edge, pull back. Think of taking the quadricep up towards the hip as you come forward to go down. You can do the clasp. Press into that right leg, Shift the weight into the left sit bone. And come forward with your sternum bone. Okay, and then back to concave back. Inhale, Ardha. Come down. Bring that right leg up. Sorry, left leg. Straighten it. Second side. Bend the leg up. Tuck it back into Virasana. You can catch the calf flesh and roll it out. If you need more height or less height, take it. Every side is different. Left thigh down, right hip down. Inhale, Ardha. Exhale, come forward. Now that outer left leg has to come back. Try to scoot your foot back just a ½ inch or so and get that hip in, hip back, and then come forward. Do the clasp if you would like. Pull your sternum bone forward. Make sure that there's weight in that right sit bone. So you have to kind of lean things towards the right into that sit bone a little bit and then come forward. Okay, and then regular clasp of the foot, sit up tall. Ardha. And straighten up the legs. Now, Marichyasana 1, we're not going to do the clasp. We're going to do just the twist. So if you want the block back behind you for your hand, so if you're sitting up on height like I am, I'm just going to stay up on my block. And that gives you some height behind your hand. You can fold a blanket just so that you can reach the floor comfortably sitting up on your height. Bend up your left leg. Pull the back of the calf up against the thigh. Little gap between the feet there. And then just interlace your fingers and let them rest onto your knee. Press down and lift up. The navel has to move back away from the thigh a little bit so you can lift it up. And then you can kind of come back to leaning on the thigh. Take your right hand back behind you onto the floor, the block, the blanket, whatever you set up for height, and lift up that left arm, lengthen the left side, hook the elbow onto the knee. Okay, now press into that inner edge of the left foot, and then left knee, left arm make contact. Draw the navel back, like the abdominal poses, pull that navel in, and turn it. Press the elbow into the knee and turn. Roll that right shoulder back and turn. Okay, and then release. Straighten that leg and switch sides. Bend up that left leg, right leg. You can have a gap. Interlace the fingers, get that lift of the torso. Okay, and then take your left arm behind you onto the block or the height, whatever you're using. Reach up through the right arm and turn, hook, elbow to the inner knee. Okay, and maintain pressure on that inner edge of the right foot as you make contact between that elbow and knee. Press them into each other. Draw the navel back and turn it. So when you pull the navel back, you create space in the lower back. And then you turn, so you're twisting the lower back. Roll the left shoulder back. Inhale, draw the navel back, and exhale and turn. Okay, and then release. Straighten the leg. Take your, I gotta think just a second. Take your left leg underneath your right leg. You have to adjust your height, so you can do that. You might have to adjust your height. And then you're going to take your left leg back. So this knee can come across the midline. This left leg can cross your midline. And then your right leg bends up. We're taking kind of an adjusted Marichyasana, Ardha Matsyendrasana. Interlace the fingers and lift yourself up. Hold with your left hand onto the knee and take your right hand back for the twist. Draw the navel back and turn, navel back and turn. You can continue to just hold the knee here, or if you want, you can do the elbow. Switch the elbow to the outer knee. Ooh, that was a nice pop. Pull the navel back and turn. Press the elbow into the knee, knee into the elbow. Okay, and then release. Straighten out both legs and switch sides. That right leg can come across the midline so that you can get this left foot down. And then sit up tall. Take that left arm back behind you. Twist the navel. So draw the navel back and twist. Right? And you can hook the elbow onto the knee and get a little more twist. Press the elbow into the knee presses back, draw the navel back, and turn. Really try to turn as much as you can at the abdomen. Okay, and release. And straighten out both legs. Come all the way off of your height. Come all the way down to Dandasana. Inhale, Ardha. Exhale, come forward. Catch your feet. Paschimottanasana. You can come all the way forward, or you can stay here in the concave back. It's up to you. Let your head look down, though, towards your shins if you're staying concave back. Right, and then walk your hands back to sit up. Let's take a Setubandha on the block. Now, advice, you can take it or you can leave it. Forward bends, take the sacrum backward, the top of the sacrum backwards, remember? So I like to do the Setubandha at the end of my forward bends, but I personally don't like it to be very intense, all right? I just want to kind of neutralize the sacrum. So things that you can do to take a little bit of the effort out of Setubandha on the block, you can fold a blanket, and you would use this like shoulder stand, right? So your shoulders would be on the blanket, your head would be on the floor. That makes your torso a little bit longer, so there's a little less bendiness that has to happen. The other thing is to just keep your legs bent and keep your feet flat on the floor. All right, you don't have to straighten the legs. So I'm going to use the blanket. Shoulders are on the blanket, head is on the floor. Press into the feet, lift the hips, and then you just slide that block underneath your sacrum. You can hold the sides of the sticky mat. You can interlace your fingers. You can put a strap back there. Tuck your arm bones like you were in shoulder stand. This is going to be in lieu of shoulder stand today. Press your arm bones down so you get that upper back to move in. Move the tops of the buttocks towards the knees, so you're creating that space for the lower back. The abdomen will soften a little easier. And make sure your toes are in and your heels are out. Pressurize the inner edges of your feet. Now, even without straightening the legs, you can give those fronts of the hips and the quadriceps a little more work if you bring your feet a little bit closer to each other. Not necessarily touching, any amount closer, and pressurize the inner edges of your feet. It's not a huge amount of work, but it's more work in the thighs. Think about Supta Virasana. What happens in Supta Virasana? We let our knees go wide, so we take the stretch out of our quadriceps. It's the same thing here. When you bring your feet and your knees closer together, quadriceps have to work a little bit more, stretch a little bit more. Pressurize the inner edges of the feet. Press the upper arm bones down. Buttocks away from the waist. And even here, find that softness in your abdomen, softness in your throat. Release your jaw. Soften your eyes. Soften your face, your forehead, and the crown of your head. Okay, and then step your feet back just a little bit, press into your toes, lift your hips, bring that block out. The blanket's not gonna feel good, but don't worry about that right now. Let your back come back to normal, your lower back. So don't worry about the blanket being under your chest for a moment. Let your lower back recover. And then when you're ready, you can roll to your side and sit up. Slide that blanket back so that it supports your head, and you're coming back down for Shavasana. Remember that trick of grabbing the sides of the sticky mat and pushing so that you get the shoulder blades towards the waist, the buttocks away from the waist. Straighten your legs with purpose and gradually let the feet, the shins, the knees, the thighs release. Go start to let go with the hands. Turn the palms towards the ceiling, inner elbows towards the ceiling. And release. Let the arms and legs be heavy. Let your attention follow your breath. Good, it's 5:15, so if you need to be wrapping up, I'll take you out of Shavasana. If you would like to stay for a little bit longer, Shavasana, please do. If you're ready though, take a couple of nice deep breaths. On an inhalation, bend your elbows, rest your palms on your torso. Slowly and carefully bend your knees. reestablish the ground there under your feet. Pay attention here though. You've worked hard to keep that abdomen and throat soft and the face soft. So as we move here, keep those areas nice and soft. Roll to your side. Press with your arms to come up. Keep your head low, eyes closed, facial muscles soft. Take a moment to thank yourself for coming to class and continuing your practice. And slowly raise your head. Slowly open your eyes. And namaste.
Thanks.